Coming up tonight on YCN News, New Hampshire Senate votes against the bill on changing the state's minimum wage. Entergy Vermont Yankee deposits 2 large sums as a part of the agreements made between Entergy and the state. And a vacancy will soon be available on the Claremont, New Hampshire School Board. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening and welcome to this Thursday edition of YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. We begin today with news from the Granite State. New Hampshire's current minimum wage will remain where it is now at $7.25 an hour. The state Senate voted down House Bill 1403 today, a bill that, if passed, would have restored the state's role in establishing its own minimum wage. In the 2010 session, lawmakers removed that ability from state statutes. Plus, if the bill had survived in the Senate, it may have fostered discussion to set minimum hourly wages above the federal minimum wage as it now stands. There will be no further discussion this session on raising the minimum wage. Governor Maggie Hassan says she is disappointed by the vote. She pinpointed the Republicans who voted against the bill that the governor says has a majority support from New Hampshire residents. Restoring and increasing New Hampshire's minimum wage would strengthen the state's economy and support businesses, she says. Workers would have more money to spend, money that mostly would be spent at local businesses. Meanwhile, other states nationwide are raising the minimum wage, along with the president, who supports a $10.10 minimum for federal workers. Hassan says she will continue to fight for restoring and raising a state minimum wage. Another bill in the New Hampshire legislature will not be moving forward now that state reps voted against bringing up debate on Senate Bill 366. A vote to approve casino gambling in the state has failed again. House members voted Wednesday not to reopen discussion on a bill that called for legalizing 2 casinos. The vote on Wednesday was 192 to 172, not to reopen debate, the Concord Monitor reports. Last week's vote was tied at 172 to 172 until the Deputy House Speaker broke the tie and made the final vote 173 to 172. When YCN News returns, we'll continue with more news.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Turning to Vermont news, Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin and Public Service Department Commissioner Christopher Recchia announced today that Entergy Vermont Yankee deposited $5.3 million to help develop cleaner energy. Entergy also confirmed a deposit of $10 million to the Vermont Yankee Site Restoration Fund, the press release notes. These funds were included in the settlement agreement and memorandum of understanding that Entergy and the state signed back in December of 2013. The $5.3 million will be directed by the Public Service Department's Clean Energy Development Fund to further develop renewable energy sources across the state. Eventually, the money in the Site Restoration Fund will aid in the restoration of the site in Vernon. Public Service Department Commissioner Christopher Recchia stated that with these deposits, Entergy Vermont Yankee has completed its financial commitments for this year, all in accordance with terms of the agreements. The Public Service Board's decision last week to uphold its earlier endorsement of the agreement made moving forward with these payments possible. Next Wednesday, May 14th, the Clean Energy Development Board will hold a public hearing at the Brattleboro Union High School at 5:30 p.m. to take comments on developing the plan for distributing the $5.3 million. Andrew Perchilk, fund manager of the CEDF, said, "These are the last funds the CEDF expect to receive from Entergy, and we want to be sure to leverage these dollars to achieve maximum economic and clean energy benefit to the state and Windham County." This weekend, if you're looking for something fun to do, consider running away to the Circus. The New England Center for Circus Arts is opening their latest production this weekend with a variety of performances you'll be sure to enjoy. Earlier this week, I stopped by the theater at Landmark College in Putney, Vermont to get a sneak peek. Let's take a look and learn more.
Hello, my name is Elsie Smith and I'm the Artistic Director and co-founder of the New England Center for Circus Arts. And what you see behind me is the rehearsal process for the performances that are coming up this weekend. It's a performance called 18 Tickets to Elsewhere, and it's the graduation performances of 18 circus artists who've been training with us for 9 months or longer, putting together their pieces for this show. During the performances of 18 Tickets to Elsewhere, you will see a lot of different circus acts that the students have been working on. Behind me, you'll see the duo trapeze act that is working. We also have a mono wheel, also known as sear wheel, which is sort of a rolling apparatus. We've got hand balancers, contortionists, aerialists, partner acrobats, and new this year, which hasn't been in our show ever before, is 2 tight wire acts. So there's a lot for everyone to enjoy, and we hope you'll come join us.
My name is Erin V. Hill, and I grew up in Vermont. I found the circus at a camp retreat that I used to work at. A flying trapeze crew came and set up, had lessons, and all the staff got to try it. And I was just enthralled and got to talk to everyone after and ask where they all came from. One of them actually started at NECA here in Vermont. And she was sort of the one I was looking up to, like, I want to do that. I looked for circus schools around the world, but then I came across one in Vermont, where I'm from, a very, very good school right around the corner. So I started taking classes here about 3 years ago, just recreational classes at night. And then I got into the intensive program last year. It was a year-long training program that led into ProTrack that I'm in this year is another year program, which leads up to this final show we have in May. There are many different styles and types and genres of circus. I sort of gear more towards the contemporary dance circus. The Animals in the Tents is a very traditional circus where it all started. There's still some of those around, very good ones, but I'm looking for a little more dance and theater and art.
The performances are $15 for adults and $8 for youth, and you can get tickets at www.necenterforcircusarts.org. We have shows, matinee shows and evening shows through the weekend, and we even have a 10:30 a.m. show on Thursday next week, May 15th, if that's a better time for you. We hope you can join us. Thank you.
Shows begin this Saturday, May 10th, and end next Saturday evening on May 17th. It's the perfect chance to delve into something new and exciting. Their performances are sure to be artistically and visually entertaining for all viewers, so don't miss out on your chance to watch. A vacancy will soon be available on the Claremont School Board now that Kristen Keniston is resigning her seat. Keniston is moving up to become deputy clerk for Lebanon, New Hampshire. Her increased workload will not permit time needed to attend and participate in school board duties. Board members talked Wednesday night about setting up the process to appoint a new member to serve out Keniston's term. She was elected in March of 2012 to a 3-year term. New member and Vice Chairman Robert Picard told board colleagues he prefers that a citywide election be held rather than the board interview and appoint a new member. Picard was appointed by school board members recently when former member Jean Grumman resigned. A new board member may need to be in place by the first week of June. School Board Chairman Richard Seaman told board members he will consult with legal experts to see if the seat must be filled as soon as possible or if it can remain vacant until next city elections in March. The town of New London, New Hampshire is holding its local elections next Tuesday, May 13th, with a town meeting to follow on Wednesday. The race for select board is underway, and YCN's Laura James attended a rally thrown by supporters of Doug Holman.
Citizens in the town of New London will take to the polls next week, and up for grabs, the office of Selectman. Doug Holman is running for the spot and gathered tonight at Tracy Memorial Library in downtown New London to speak to his supporters.
My motivation for running for selectman has probably built up over the last 5 or 6 years. So I'm running because I'm concerned.
So Doug Holman is running for the office of Selectman. Doug, thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Nice to be here.
Yeah.
A beautiful night.
Isn't it? You know, we were going to talk inside, but I thought, why not outside in this beautiful weather?
Yeah, couldn't beat it.
Now, you're preparing to have supporters come out for a rally for the office of Selectman in the town of New London, New Hampshire.
Yeah, just a meet and greet here at the library tonight. So getting ready. Basically, the last thing that we're going to be doing before the election.
Okay. Tell us, what are you prepared to speak to tonight?
Whatever the questions are. I mean, obviously the issues for me are after 3 years on the budget committee are mostly financial, and most of my concerns are with are trying to put the New London's financial house in order. So,
right.
So that's really where I'm coming from.
You have a long history in New London.
I do.
Yeah, tell us.
Born and raised here. Lived here my whole life. Raised 3 children here. Run the Lake Sunapee Country Club, which my father and grandfather ran before me. So I've been here a while. I've been here a long time, too long.
Yeah. Is it time to give back? Why now, and why this position?
I don't know. I mean, I got involved like 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago. I started attending budget committee meetings and getting concerned about the direction New London was going in. And 3 years ago, ran for budget committee and got elected to that. And I've been, I've just kind of been getting immersed in it ever since.
Give us your one last simple message you'd like to send out to the voters.
I guess vote for Doug Holman on Tuesday, May 13th, and more importantly, just vote. We'd love to have a great big turnout and really know what the voters in New London are thinking.
Great message, Doug Holman. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Reporting from Tracy Memorial Library in New London, New Hampshire, I'm Laura James. Back to the studio.
Thanks, Laura. If you're a New London citizen, be sure to vote on May 13th. When YCN News returns, we'll join Upper Valley Chronicles' Ann Holmes, who spoke with Melissa Richmond from the West Claremont Center for the Arts.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Rose Spillman. Now Matt McDonald will have a look at our weather for the next few days and then move on to high school sports.
Thanks, Rose. Today we've got sunny skies with highs around 72 degrees. Winds will come in around 5 miles per hour. Tonight we'll have a few clouds with lows in the 40s. Tomorrow we'll have a 60% chance of rain after 11 a.m. Skies will be partly cloudy with highs in the upper 50s. Winds will be calm around 5 miles per hour. Then, Friday evening we'll have a 40% chance of showers with some fog and winds between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Lows will stay in the 50s. Saturday we'll have a 90% chance of precipitation with fog in the morning. Highs will be around 71 degrees with winds from 5 to 10 miles per hour. Saturday night we'll have a 40% chance of showers with lows in the 50s. Here's a glimpse of the weather from our northeastern and national radar maps. Now let's see what's coming up on our community calendar. Tomorrow in Hanover, New Hampshire, the Hop is hosting the Dartmouth College Glee Club for a performance at 5:30 p.m. The Sunapee Methodist Church will hold a coffee house Friday at 7 p.m. featuring balladeer and poet John Perrault. Saturday morning, Norwich, Vermont will hold its farmers market at 9 a.m. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. It's time for high school sports. There were 2 doubleheaders yesterday. The softball teams from Newport and Stevens competed in 2 games with each other. In Game 1, Newport defeated Stevens with a final score of 6-3. Following that game, Stevens turned the tables on Newport and won 10-7. The Newport and Stevens boys baseball team also had a doubleheader. Game 1 saw Newport just edge past Stevens 4-3. In the second game, Stevens came out on top with 2 runs, while Newport had 1 run. We can't forget the great girls lacrosse game from yesterday. Kearsarge High School made an excellent win against Plymouth. The final score was 13-8.
Thanks, Matt. When YCN News continues, we'll hear from Capital Connections' John O'Connor, who spoke with New Hampshire Senator Andy Sanborn.
The YCN News continues in a moment.